All right, I'll call to order the meeting of the Fitchburg Board of Public Works for September 19th, 2022, held in City Hall in the Francis Huntley Cooper Council Chambers. Attending tonight, myself, Board Member Dave Wilborn, Alder Jim Wheeler. We have City Director of Public Works, Bill Balke, and I believe Alder Arata Frada is in the chamber also. Our first is public appearances for non-agenda items. Is there anyone from the public in chambers? No?
Excuse me, Dave, do you want me to read off what Cheney was requesting?
Yeah. So now at this point, we have a written statement from Patrick Cheney that Dave Wilburn will be reading now. Okay, Dave.
Okay, Patrick Cheney, 5211 Kitty Crest in Fitchburg. It has to do with the director report. He says, for comments watching my email, for answers to my questions and explanation of future plans for the South Zion water main and the Greenfield water main loop. And he's registered only in support of the above matter.
All right. I don't think there's really anything to respond there yet.
I did just send that email to him a few minutes ago, so he's got it.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you. Then let's move into our agenda. First, we have 3 alpha approval of minutes from the August 29th, 2022 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move approval.
I'll second it.
Second by Wilborn. Questions, changes, modifications?
None.
Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Next, a report from our Director of Public Works, Mr. Bill Balke. I'll turn it over to you, Bill.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to give you all an update on the South Zion Road project that we have going on. I'll back up a little bit. I'm a little loud here. For the project, we're trying to get the intersection or East Sherrill open up for a quick trip with their planned opening early next month. So we're concentrating our efforts in that area on East Sherrill between Zion and No Oaks to get that open. So that will be their main access in and out of the site once they open up. And then we'll finish up with the construction through the intersection and then north and south on Zion. Through their driveway into the north, up near the residential properties is where we're going to finish up. And then we'll start up construction again next year. Beyond that, going south and any other areas to the north that we need to finish up. So for over the next couple of weeks, you'll see a lot of activity in that area to the east of east of Zion Road. Finishing that project up. We're also in the midst of a lot of construction for subdivisions with Terra Vesa. We're getting ready to gravel that area. And then Highfield Reserve down south of Fahey Fields is getting some sidewalk in today and then finishing up some pipe and graveling this week. So we're looking to get some buildings starting construction here within the next month or so, and then for those new subdivisions. And I guess the big announcement that I wanted to make was my pending retirement, January 13th, and we'll be in search of a new director within the next couple of weeks. An announcement's going out. And in the interim, we're going to be hiring on a previous Director of Public Works, Paul Woodard, to assist me in the next 4 months with staffing shortages, and development, and water utilities. So lots of things going on. Busy, yeah. We're still down a staff person for our transportation engineer and our stormwater technician. So we're in hiring those process. And then we also have a tech or a maintenance worker in the forestry or parks and forestry area that we're trying to hire.
Well, congratulations on 31 years of service. Being a retiree myself, I can say that retirement is fun.
All right.
Yes,
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Bill, I wish you the best. Thank you, certainly thank you for your service to Fitchburg. You came here after a long public works career at other places, and thank you for joining our city. I know this is not it's not been easy for you, certainly since you became director, and I'm really not sure you necessarily wanted to be thrust into that leadership position, but you were the best person, and the staff was certainly indicated we want Bill to serve, and so thank you for stepping up. I suspect you probably would have preferred not to, but we appreciate what you've done, and we send you our best wishes, in your pending retirement in January.
Thank you.
Next, we have any questions for Bill on other things? All right. Seeing next, we'll move on to review of utility checks and P-card purchases. I'll open it up to the other board members if you have questions first. I'm paging down. I had a couple. Seeing none. Okay. Bill, on the very first page of the checks, the third, fourth, and fifth, we bought three new printers. What were those replacements for old ones? What group was using those? Do you have a sense of that? I'm sorry, it's kind of a vague question.
Yes, this was part of our stormwater, our utility plotter that we have, plotter scanner. It's a large format printer that we have. We replace those every 5 to 7 years, and it was due for replacement. This is just one purchase. And it's coming out of 3 accounts, actually 4 accounts. There's another general fund CIP that's involved with that as well.
Okay, thank you. And I had one other one. Kind of a nitpicky, but I'm going to ask anyway. The dog waste bags for $13.29, is that for your supply and all our city facilities? They have a dog park.
I believe we buy those a couple times a year, and we budget for that every year. I'm not exactly sure how many we bought, but I can look into that for you.
Okay, thank you. And give me a second to page down. I might have had one more page down here. Bear with me. Let me see here now. And one more. I don't have it marked very well here. Bear with me one sec, guys. Oh, I know what it was. It looked like there was a training class in here, and I believe that was for the drone operators to be licensed to operate the drone we purchased. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. That was all I had. One other, and this is more of a note for the board. So we see we have a MMSD charge of $617,000. That's our second quarter charge. Is that that's for the gallons of effluent we send to them, or are there other things included in that charge bill?
No, that's our quarterly bill for the amount of effluent that we put to their plant that they're estimating for us.
Okay. Then down a little bit from there, I believe it's $135,000 paid to them for a new connection. Was that a connection into what you recall? What subdivision? I'm assuming that's a connection into one of the interceptors.
Yeah, without more information on the description, I'm gonna have to look and see which one that is. But we do have a connection charge that's charged for new developments. and that would be for the area or type of development that's going in recently. So I can look up what that amount is or which one that was for.
That's fine. Is that normally based on acreage or number of units? I'm sorry, I don't know that question, but.
Yeah, it's based on the number of acres as well as the type of development that is going in there. So whether it be commercial or the number of multifamily units or whatever that is.
Sounds good. Thank you, Bill. No further action needed on that. Okay. So let's, if the other board members don't have any questions, we'll move on to agenda item 6 alpha. Resolution R 17022, authorizing the purchase of street light parts for future repairs. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move we approve resolution number R-170-22.
Moved by Wilborn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Wheeler. As I read this bill, part of this is for, say, a car hits a pole and damages it. Other, I think, are probably just, would it be routine things burning out or damaging? I assume if a car hits one, we're reimbursed by if we're able to catch them by the offending person's insurance company. But is it both for the damage from cars and just routine ones that break or burn out?
That's correct. We do bill back for the insurance companies for the knockdowns that occur and when we catch them, as you had referenced. The other thing is that we had so many of these knockdowns that we need to order ahead because it is a very long lead time to get the poles. So if we don't have anything in stock, we would rather have something there so we can get the pole back up and lit again for public safety. So we are, looking ahead as to, forecasting ahead a little bit to try to get those poles in stock so that in case, like I mentioned, one does get knocked down, we can get it up relatively quickly.
Sounds good. This comes out of our maintenance account?
Correct.
Okay. Jim or Dave, any questions for Bill on this one?
No.
No.
Call the vote. All in favor of resolution R 170-22, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Next, resolution R 177-22, authorizing acceptance of 2022 McKee Road pavement marking bid. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move approval.
I'll
Moved by
second
Wheeler, second by Wilborn. This one, again, we only had two companies took out the materials to look at it. We only received a single bid for this. I have two questions for you, Bill. Where did this come in, compared to our engineering estimate? And B, you view this, was this inferior workmanship when we had the road, when the road was redone? So I'll let you answer those two questions if you can.
Sure. The first question was, I'm sorry.
Where did this come in
Oh.
as far as the engineering estimate, the bid the single bid that we received?
Right. The estimate came in line with what we were estimating, or the actual bid came in with what we were estimating. It was within $2,000, I think it was, of our engineer's estimate. So the workmanship, with regard to that, Dane County had put this down as part of their chip seal program a few years ago, and they use water-based paint. And with the amount of traffic on there, it should have been repainted a couple of years ago. You only get 1 to 2 years, if that, maybe 1 year out of water-based paint. So we are putting down epoxy this time. We're removing the stripes and putting down epoxy so that we will get some more longevity out of that. And we're anticipating 5 to 7 years on that. We do set up an annual maintenance program or a revolving fund for these larger projects because they are so expensive. Typically, to repaint a road like this of $60,000, we try to put together, $5 $5,000 to $6,000 for, per year, anticipating that we're going to have to do these major maintenance projects. So we do build that fund up until the point that we need it to paint these larger roads.
Thank you for that excellent explanation. Jim or Dave, any questions about this?
Well, it just looks like they had a good set of lists of references that they sent to. So that makes a difference right there.
Yeah, they've done work in the city before also.
Bill, as I look at this, the engineer estimate, just in case somebody's looking on television, is $55,000 as opposed to Century Fence of about $63,000. And I see kind of like one of the biggest jumps is the $9 for the 12-foot epoxy paint as opposed to $13. Do you know why that would be such a big difference? That seems to be the biggest difference in the bid. You know why that would be such a jump? Or
No, that's one of those variable items that it just varies from project to project. We've had it as high as $15 and as low as $7. So it just was one of those ranges.
And how long can we expect the epoxy paint to last as opposed to the water-based?
Typically, we try to get 7 to 10 years out of those.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R-17722, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, 6 Charlie, resolution R-17822, accepting a public storm sewer easement on lot 23 in the plat of Techlands. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move we approve resolution number R-178-22.
Second.
Okay, moved by Wilborn, second by Wheeler. Anything significant about this one, Bill?
No, I don't think so. We just, we asked to relocate the storm sewer onto Promega's land in order to save some trees that are on the property line. And the developer has been working with Promega to do that, and this easement is in agreement with what is needed for the relocated area.
Okay, let me page down to this. Give me 1 second here. Bear with me. When I look at the, go a little lower. So, the thing I didn't, this is in the plat of Techlands, but they mentioned Highland Reserve. Am I missing something? Isn't Highland way down in the south? Fahey property?
Right. The Fahey property needed to redirect the stormwater around their development. So originally they had it all within their plat, but in order to do that, it would have taken out the entire tree line that was adjacent to the Techlands or Promega area. Okay. So Promega had asked that we try to come up with a solution that would not impact the trees, and to do that, they would provide or grant an easement to the city for relocating the storm sewer adjacent to the path and not impact the trees.
Sounds good. So that they're not, are we having to pay for this easement?
No.
Okay. I was wondering how that came about, if they don't usually.
I think the developer's paying. No.
Yeah, okay.
And David Fahey's here as the developer if you have questions.
That's, I am not.
We're trying to save some oak trees that have been there, and this allows us to move it over to save those trees.
We appreciate that, David. Thank you for being there.
So it's actually on Promega's land, so I think the easement's with both the city and Promega.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do you know how many oak trees will be saved?
Two for sure. I think there's 3.
Okay,
And there's a few other trees, and we'll add trees, so we have to move. They're right along the bike path, because the bike path is a foot off the property line.
okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. Dave, any questions on this?
No.
Okay. Call the vote, all in favor of resolution R 17822, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. And, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, 6 Delta, resolution R 17622, second amendment to Crescent Crossing subdivision improvement agreement related to park improvements and fees. We have a motion to approve.
I move approval.
I'll second.
Second by Wilborn. And I believe in this case, the developer, Bill, is putting in a dog park and a pocket park. They are doing the work to our standards in lieu of paying parkland dedication fee. Am I somewhat close here?
Absolutely. We require a fee in lieu of fee for parkland dedication if they can't provide the dedicated parkland based on the number of residential units that go into a subdivision. And that was quite significant. It was over $500,000. So in the plat itself, they had several park areas that they were designated as private open space that they were proposing to develop into parkland, a little pocket park and a dog park, and then dedicate that to the city. And what the agreement is that you have in front of you tonight has been reached to take that additional parkland and reduce the amount of fees, and then also use part of the fees for the construction of the dog park and the pocket park. And we set a cap within the agreement for a not to exceed amount, which would allow us to reserve some funds for the Stoner Prairie Park that's going to be going in the area as well.
Thank you, thank you. So there, looking at the material list and the layout, this is all to, roughly city standards, or what we would put in if we were building the park ourselves.
Correct. We made sure that when it was bid out, that it met all of our specifications and standards for park and equipment.
Okay. All right. Jim, Dave, questions on this one?
No questions from
I
me.
think this is a win-win. Anything to streamline the process, and I don't know if it really does lower the cost, of the project, for new homeowners, but I believe it's a win-win. Bill, I thank you and the staff for working on it. I know this takes a lot of time to negotiate something like this, so we appreciate your and the staff's efforts to get this completed. Okay. There's no more questions. We'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R 17622, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion, opposed, motion carries. Next, 6 Echo, resolution R 17122, authorizing approval of Sherrill Drive stormwater improvement bid. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so approve resolution number R-171-22.
Second.
Moved by Wilborn, second by Wheeler.
Excuse me a minute, Dave. There's a member of the council who'd like to speak on this, I believe.
All right, Julia, could you come up and speak,
I will
please?
wait until they do the presentation.
Pardon?
I will wait until they do the presentation.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
Julia. Just come up at any time you want to speak. So, we've had this project we've been working on for a while. Initially we thought we had a relatively simple solution, but we realized this is a consultant got involved and this is a wider spread problem. After evaluating, there were more things needed to be done, which increased the cost quite a bit. But, what we thought maybe modest amount to do it initially really wouldn't have done much. You know, this intersection floods with relatively modest amounts of stormwater. So, Bill, I'll let you take it from here.
All right, thank you. I also have Ben Schulte here, who is managing the project going forward. He prepared the staff report and can answer some more questions in detail. But generally what we have here is about 200 acres of drainage area that comes down from three directions and accumulates at the Charleston intersection at Sherrill Drive. And it ponds water a couple of feet deep, which really impacts our emergency responses east-west through the community when we're trying to get through that area for a period of time. It doesn't drain down very fast, and the conveyance system downstream from there is not channelized wide enough or deep enough to get the water to McKee Farms Park. So what we have, we had a consultant that came in and looked at how we were going to solve the problem or be more resilient to the storms that we're getting currently. And what they came up with is our pipes are very undersized at that intersection. It's not able to take the water and get it underground fast enough. And also, like I said, downstream from there, it backs the water up because it's filled in with dirt over time. So what the proposal is to increase the size of the pipes at that intersection significantly. There's also another intersection or another pipe system that's further to the east that also needs to be upsized, that takes water from the Jacqueline area and then from the south, I think it's Tower Drive. So there's another system there that needs to be upsized, and also the conveyance ditch increased. The conveyance ditch the downstream into McKee Farms Park needs to be widened and deepened and dredged out from existing sediment that has accumulated over the past 30 years. So that's also part of the project. When we had set up the budget for this in 2020, we had no idea what was going to come out of the resulting consultant. And we had budgeted, I think it was $350,000 to do the engineering and the construction of a project that we weren't sure what was going to come of it. Later in 21, we still did not have a full estimate as to what that cost was going to be for 2022 construction. And so we did not change the budget for that. And then when we did finally get the estimate, it was a little bit late for putting it in the 22 budget, or in the 22 budget, I should say. And the estimate that we had at the time was around $650,000. So the bids that we did come in between $780,000 and quite a bit more than that, was 1.5 million, so almost double. The low bid with Speedway is, we feel it's a reasonable bid based upon the bids that have been coming in for the area. Nothing seemed really out of line with what we've been bidding with, like on Sain Road, construction project or some of the subdivisions. So we are recommending that we do a budget amendment for this project to meet the funding requirements, and that the funding come from the ARPA funds that were delegated or obligated to the city to be used for stormwater resiliency. And the staff is requesting approval of this. It's a project that we feel is needed for the area, for public safety and for human health and safety in that area.
Thank you, Bill. Just for the record, when this, if passed, when it comes before council, this will require a two-thirds vote to pass because it's an increase. One additional question I have, you have the consultant there. Maybe you didn't look at this. Do we have enough capacity in the ponds in McKee, to convey more water down there faster? Are we gonna be causing another problem downstream? I know that wasn't probably in your scope to analyze, but if you have, Bill or you guys have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, that was part of the study as well, is to take an overall look at the whole drainage system down to Nine Springs. And the consultant came back and said, no, your problem's not downstream and won't cause backup. It's trying to get the water into the system. So they said that the capacity is there downstream, and there's nothing that we should be worrying about at this time.
Okay, thank you. Bill, if approved, when would you anticipate construction?
Ben? You have to come up.
Would we do it this year yet?
So construction would be in two phases. This fall through winter would be working in the two existing swales, which convey all the stormwater to McKee Farms Park South Pond. So that'll be the spring. And then that would be the fall, winter. And then in the spring of '23 into maybe the early summer is when the rest of the work in the road, so that's all the pipe work would be completed in '23.
Nice, okay. All right. Go ahead, Julia.
Yeah, so thank you, David. So Alder Julia Frata, 2111 Melissa Circle in Fitchburg. So I want to ask, this commission to approve this project. I have been working with these neighbors for the last 4 or 5 years with this issue, and I know that is the increase, the fees are double that we estimated, and we are asking for a budget amendment, but I think that it's an issue that has been in the city has been dealing for more than 10 years, for what I heard. So I will say thank you, Bill and team, for putting together the memo that you explained very clearly there what are the issues and how to solve it. So I will really appreciate if you approve. This is part of my district. I live 3 blocks away from this intersection. I have been there with the neighbors, with the flooded backyards. I have seen the video where the rain sometimes is higher than the hydrant for all the water accumulation. So I have seen the damage that is, this flooding and how it affects that area. So, and I am speaking in representation of all the 20-something neighbors in the area that we will love if you guys approve this project so we can move it to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Bill, question for you, and I'm not up to speed on all these things. This fits within the stipulations of the ARPA funding that this type of project can be funded by that. And then a kind of a follow-up question for the consultant. Are our easements wide enough, where we have these swales that we're going to enlarge and deepen? Are our easements wide enough, or are we going to have to acquire a larger stormwater easement through those swales?
Yes, when we bid the project, we bid it with the stipulation of using the guidance that is required by ARPA. And so we could use these funds for this project. And you want to take the second one?
Yeah, I guess the first question was that just kind of looking for verification that this type of project was, an approved ARPA type project.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, so I think the interim final rule only had water quality projects, or the stormwater project would have to have a water quality component, but in the final rule, they broadened that scope. So any kind of stormwater resiliency project would now be a project that could be funded through these ARPA funds.
Yeah. All right, good deal. That's perfect use of this money. And second, do we need any, where we're widening the channels? Do we need a wider easement? Is our easement wide enough for the wider channels that we might need?
Everything will fit in within the existing easements, so there won't be any need for additional easements or land area.
Good, very good. Thank you. Jim and Dave, any questions on this?
I'm glad we got lucky enough. You don't have to go after more easements.
Yeah. Same here. I'm guessing we've had a pretty good year. Would I be correct in speculating, we haven't had the intersections flooded this year? We haven't really had any large rains this year. We've probably been lucky.
Hey, Bill, besides our flooding issues with Goose Lake and Lake Barney, are there any other areas or intersections in the city where we have issues due to undersized sewer pipes? Or is that?
There are some that are undersized. There are some areas that have no storm sewer at all, that everything just runs over the surface, on the road. And we are, like up on Greenway Cross, we put in a very large pipe in anticipation of branching out into neighborhoods to pick up storm sewer. So that's an example of one project that we did last year for Fish Hatchery Road. But yeah, we weren't anticipating pipe sizes with the rainfalls that we've been having, or the number of catch basins needed to get the water into the system, like we did, 20 years ago. Schumann Parkway is another one. We've got a lot of water coming down the hill for that one, and the pipe's small, and it pops the manholes out, or the lids. So we're looking at all those as we come up. We've got a list of projects, and we're trying to address them over the next 10 years. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any more questions on this one? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R-171-22 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Announcements, 7A, our next Board of Public Works meeting is Monday, October 3rd at 5:30. If you can't make it, let me know. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move we adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Williams, second by Wheeler. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.